The house had always been quiet, but not in a way that felt empty. Even when no one was moving through its rooms, there was a sense that something remained, not watching, not waiting, simply present. He noticed it the first evening he stayed there alone. The sun had already set, leaving the sky outside the windows a deep shade of blue that slowly darkened as the night settled in. Inside, the house held on to warmth from the day, the air still and comfortable. Nothing seemed unusual. The lights worked, the doors closed easily. The floors did not creak more than expected. And yet, as he moved from room to room, there was a quiet awareness that the space was not entirely inactive. He did not feel afraid. There was no tension in his chest, no urge to hurry. It was more like the feeling of entering a familiar room and realizing someone had just left moments before. The impression lingered softly, without explanation. He set his bag down near the entrance and took his time removing his shoes. The sound echoed gently through the hallway, then faded. The house absorbed it easily, returning to its calm state almost immediately. The living room was simple. A couch, a small table, a lamp in the corner. He turned the lamp on, and its warm light spread evenly across the walls, leaving no sharp shadows. The room felt settled, balanced. He stood there for a moment, listening. There was nothing to hear, no footsteps, no voices, no movement beyond the quiet hum of the building itself. Still, the sense remained not of being observed, but of sharing the space with something quiet and unintrusive. He breathed slowly, allowing the feeling to exist without questioning it. The house did not seem to mind. He moved toward the kitchen, his steps unhurried. The floorboards beneath his feet responded softly, not loud enough to break the stillness. The kitchen light revealed clean surfaces and familiar shapes. Everything was in its place. He poured himself a glass of water and leaned lightly against the counter. As he drank, he noticed how comfortable he felt. The sensation was unexpected. He had anticipated a slight unease, perhaps a moment of adjustment, but instead, there was ease. The house did not feel strange. It felt lived in. He finished the water and placed the glass in the sink. The quiet returned immediately, seamless and complete. The air felt steady, unchanged. As he turned back toward the hallway, he paused. For just a moment, he had the impression that the hallway light was slightly dimmer than before. Not flickering, not failing, just softer, as though the house itself preferred the lower glow. He did not reach to adjust it. There was no reason to. He walked down the hallway toward the bedroom, his movements slow and natural. The walls held a faint warmth, the temperature consistent throughout the space. Each step felt supported, grounded. The bedroom was at the end of the hall. He turned the light on and set his bag down near the bed. The room was quiet, undisturbed. The window looked out into darkness, reflecting the room back at him. As he stood there, he noticed the same sensation again. A presence, subtle and calm, like a memory that did not belong to him. It did not feel intrusive. It felt familiar. He sat on the edge of the bed and removed his jacket, placing it carefully beside him. The fabric made a soft sound against the bedding, then went still. The room seemed to settle further, as though acknowledging the small change. He leaned back slightly, resting his hands on the mattress, and took another slow breath. The air felt smooth, easy. There was no thought forming clearly in his mind, only a gentle awareness of being exactly where he was. Outside, the night deepened. The house remained quiet, steady, unchanged. Somewhere within the walls, a faint sound passed a subtle shift, like the building adjusting to the cooling air. It was not sudden. It did not draw attention. It simply happened. He lay back on the bed, looking up at the ceiling. The light above him was soft, diffused, leaving no harsh contrast. His eyelids felt heavier, not from exhaustion, but from comfort. The feeling of not being alone returned briefly, then settled again, becoming part of the background. It did not ask for acknowledgement. It did not move closer or farther away. It simply remained. His breathing slowed naturally, the rhythm steady and even. Each breath seemed to deepen the quiet, smoothing the edges of awareness. The house held him gently. Nothing happened. And yet, the sense of presence remained, calm and constant, like a memory embedded in the walls themselves. He closed his eyes, allowing the quiet to continue without him needing to follow it. The night moved forward quietly, without any clear boundary between moments. Inside the house, the air felt unchanged, steady and calm, as though time itself had slowed down once the lights were dimmed. He lay still on the bed, not asleep, not fully awake either. His breathing continued in an even rhythm, each breath blending smoothly into the next. The ceiling above him remained softly lit, its surface plain and familiar. There was no sound that demanded attention, no sudden shift, no movement that could be pointed to. And yet, the same subtle awareness returned, lingering gently at the edges of his perception. It was not a feeling of being watched. It was more like the feeling of sharing space. He did not open his eyes right away. There was no reason to. The darkness behind his eyelids felt comfortable, familiar. The room did not need to be seen to be known. Somewhere within the house, a faint sound appeared and disappeared again. It was difficult to tell what it was. Perhaps the quiet movement of air within the walls. Perhaps the natural settling of the structure as the night grew cooler. The sound did not repeat. It did not call attention to itself. It simply existed for a moment, then faded. His breathing slowed slightly, deepening without effort. The sensation of the mattress supporting him became more noticeable, grounding him gently. His arms rested comfortably at his sides, his hands relaxed. The sense of presence remained unchanged. It did not move closer, it did not move away. It felt evenly distributed throughout the space, like warmth held within the walls. He became aware of the hallway beyond the bedroom door. The door was closed, but not tightly. Light from the hallway filtered faintly through the gap beneath it, creating a soft line on the floor. That line of light seemed steady. He did not feel the urge to get up or check anything. The light did not flicker or change. It simply remained as quiet as everything else. His thoughts drifted slowly, unstructured and faint. They did not form questions or conclusions. They passed through his mind like distant reflections, leaving no trace behind. The house felt larger at night, its rooms connected by stillness rather than movement. Each space seemed to exist independently, yet linked by the same calm presence. He noticed how the awareness he felt was not tied to any single location. It was not in the corner of the room, not near the door, not behind him. It was everywhere and nowhere. The realization did not cause discomfort. If anything, it made the house feel more complete, as though something essential had always been there. He shifted slightly on the bed, adjusting his position without opening his eyes. The movement was slow, deliberate, and then finished. The room accepted it without response. For a brief moment, he thought he sensed a change in the air, as though the space had adjusted to accommodate him. The feeling was subtle and fleeting, gone almost as soon as it appeared. The silence returned to its familiar depth. Time continued to pass, but without markers. There was no sound of clocks, no change in light. The night remained constant. He wondered briefly how long the house had been this way. Not haunted, not abandoned, simply inhabited by memory. The thought did not develop further. It did not need to. The awareness he felt did not carry emotion. It was neither sad nor welcoming. It was neutral, calm, observant without observing, like a presence that had learned long ago how to remain unnoticed. His breathing grew slower still, the pauses between breaths lengthening. Each pause felt safe, unbroken. The faint line of light beneath the door softened as his eyes adjusted behind closed lids. It became less distinct, blending into the darkness. Somewhere deeper in the house, another subtle sound appeared. Not footsteps, not a voice, just a quiet shift, like the sound of fabric settling or wood responding to temperature. It did not repeat. He did not react. The sound faded into the stillness, leaving everything unchanged. The sense of presence remained constant, neither increasing nor decreasing. It did not seek acknowledgement. It felt as though the house itself was breathing, slowly and evenly, matching his rhythm. He noticed how deeply relaxed his body felt now. The heaviness in his limbs was comfortable, grounding. His shoulders rested naturally, no tension remaining. Thoughts became even more distant, appearing less frequently. When they did appear, they dissolved before forming meaning. The boundary between awareness and rest began to blur. The house continued to hold its quiet shape around him. Walls, floors, ceilings all remained steady, unchanged. Nothing shifted, nothing revealed itself. And yet, The feeling of not being alone persisted, gentle and unassuming. It felt older than the house itself, older than memory, not something that arrived, something that had always been there. His breathing slowed further, deepening naturally. Each exhale seemed to carry him further away from the need to understand. The night outside remained still. The town slept, unaware of anything unusual. The house remained exactly as it had been. He no longer thought about the presence directly. It had become part of the background, like the air or the quiet hum of the space. There was nothing left to question, nothing left to resolve. The house did not need explanation. It only needed stillness, and stillness had arrived. He remained there, breathing slowly, awareness softening further as the night continued without interruption. The night had fully settled into its quiet rhythm. Inside the house, everything felt suspended in a gentle stillness, as though nothing needed to move anymore. The air remained calm, undisturbed, holding the same soft temperature throughout the rooms. He lay where he was, no longer aware of how long he had been there. Time no longer felt like something that moved forward. It simply existed, evenly spread, without direction. His breathing was slow now, steady and deep. Each inhale arrived naturally, and each exhale faded away without effort. The pauses between breaths felt wide and comfortable, like open space. The sense of presence that had accompanied him earlier was still there, but it had changed. It no longer felt distinct. It had blended into the quiet, becoming indistinguishable from the house itself. It was no longer something separate. It was simply part of the stillness. His body felt heavy, fully supported. The mattress beneath him carried his weight evenly, and there was no tension left to release. His arms rested without effort. His legs remained still. His shoulders were loose. The darkness behind his closed eyes felt soft and familiar. There were no images forming clearly, only vague impressions that drifted and dissolved before taking shape. The house remained silent. No sounds emerged from the walls. No subtle shifts announced themselves. Everything felt complete, finished for the night. The awareness he had felt earlier no longer asked to be noticed. It did not linger at the edges of his thoughts. It simply existed, quietly, without form, as though the house itself had learned how to rest. His breathing slowed even further, becoming almost imperceptible. Each breath flowed seamlessly into the next, without pause or effort. The room felt distant now, less defined. The idea of walls and ceilings softened, blending into a single sense of enclosure. The space around him felt protective, calm. Thoughts no longer appeared clearly. Instead, there was only a gentle drift, a soft fading of awareness. There was no need to follow anything, no need to understand. The night outside continued without change. The town slept on, unaware, untouched. Streets remained empty. Lights glowed softly without purpose. Inside, the house held its quiet balance. The presence that had once felt like memory now felt like silence itself. Not empty silence, but full and calm, steady and unbroken. His body responded naturally, sinking deeper into rest. Muscles relaxed further, though there was nothing left to release. The sensation of heaviness became comforting, grounding. Breathing continued slowly, evenly. The pauses between breaths stretched longer, unhurried and safe. Awareness softened further, drifting inward, away from the edges of thought. The boundary between waking and rest blurred gently, without a clear line. The house did not change. It did not reveal anything. It did not need to. It simply remained quiet and complete. The feeling of not being alone no longer carried meaning. It had dissolved into the calm, leaving behind only stillness. There was nothing to notice now, nothing to consider, nothing to remember. The quiet had taken over completely. His breathing slowed to its most natural rhythm, deep and unforced. Each breath felt like part of the house's stillness, matching it perfectly. The darkness behind his eyes deepened, becoming smooth and uninterrupted. No images formed, no thoughts lingered. The night held him gently. The house held its silence. And somewhere between them, awareness faded softly. Without resistance, without fear, without need. Nothing followed. Nothing remained unfinished. The quiet continued on its own.